Hello all, Fish again. Thank you for joining me for another video. Today's video I am going to be doing a review of a first time watch, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, the epic fall of the American Indian. Like I said, this is a first time watch for me. I'm going to be giving a little rundown of the film and then a little synopsis of our little rundown of kind of like a little beforehand, talking about director, stuff like that, actors, and then I'll give a little synopsis of the film, and then my thoughts of the film afterwards. So here we go. This is over a 2-hour movie, and I don't want this to be 2 hours, so let's jump right into this. Okay, so if you hear papers rustling around, just know that's my notes. I took a lot of notes. I've got like a book report under here, but I don't want to share my book report with you. I just want to, I do want to highlight on some stuff. Okay, so first off, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee is a historical Western drama based upon the book by Dee Brown of the same name, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. It is directed by Yves Semino and adapted for TV by Danielle Giat, and produced by HBO Films. It premiered on May 27th, 2007. The film was nominated for and won several awards, including the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Made for Television Movie. Yes. So, Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee is a story of several people's roles in and the events that led up to the massacre of hundreds of Lakota Sioux men, women, and children in Pine Ridge, South Dakota on December 29th, 1890, which is Wounded Knee, near Wounded Knee Creek, hence Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. So this film stars Aidan Quinn as Senator Henry Dawes, who was the chairman on the Committee of Indian Affairs and who negotiated several treaties between the U.S. government and the Native people, not just the Sioux, but all Natives. So he had a big part in what happened in this and what led up to Wounded Knee. This film also stars two actors sharing a role. One is the younger is Chavez Ezene, and the older is Adam Beach, and they are playing the role of Ohiesa, a Sioux young man, also known as Charles Eastman. Charles Eastman became a doctor, eventually being educated at Dartmouth College, Boston University Medical School, amongst others, and then returning to the reservation to serve as a doctor. Also, this film stars Anna Paquin as Elaine Goodall. She portrays a teacher who has actually learned Lakota Sioux because she is actually going to be sent out to the reservations to help the Sioux people assimilate to Christian culture or white civilization, I guess. This film also stars August Schellenberg as Chief Sitting Bull. Chief Sitting Bull is a, oh my gosh, how would I say? He was a huge believer in staying traditional with the way we lived. Natives, I'm not Sioux, but it is as how a lot of our elders wanted us to live and stay as our traditional ways. So he is one. Gordon Tutusis plays Chief Red Cloud. Chief Red Cloud actually did sign the treaties and had his band of the tribe. A band is a little portion of the people, and he was chief of that portion. And his portion actually did sign the treaties and was relocated to the reservations where they were put on ration rolls and given rations and supplies and support by the U.S. government. All right. Also stars J.K. Simmons as Agent James McLaughlin. Agent James McLaughlin. Each, I guess, township had an agent that was in charge by the U.S. government. There was Pine Ridge. Oh gosh, I think there was like 6 of them. Pine Ridge, Rosebud, Standing Rock, and I can't remember the others. I'm sorry, guys. Anyways, they all had their own agent. So J.K. Simmons was the agent in Pine Ridge. Pine Ridge? I think it's Pine Ridge. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Anyway, so, okay. When this film opens, we get some text giving us a little backstory of what we're coming into. So I'm going to go over that a little bit. We learn that it is 1876. By this time, most Native people have been forcibly relocated. Wow, forcibly relocated to reservations. Like I said, Chief Red Cloud settled his people, or signed the treaties and settled his people or his band of the tribe on the Great Sioux Reservation in the Dakota Territory. Chief Sitting Bull and also Chief Crazy Horse see this as defeat, and like I said earlier, want to stay in the traditional ways. During this time, there's an economic depression, and lo and behold, gold is found, discovered in the Black Hills, which happen to be on Sioux land. So, depression, gold found, Indian land. Kind of see where this is going, because I did. Anyways, let's see what was I going to say. Oh, so the film first shot we get is of a couple boys sitting next to the river. This film starts with, it's crazy. Starts off with the Battle of Little Bighorn, also known as Custer's Last Stand. This happens on June 25th, 1876. This opening was really good. I guess I'll talk more about each individual, but yeah, we'll continue on. Anyways, Custer's Last Stand. So it was it's the worst defeat by the U.S. government in the Long Plains Indian War. We do find out that it was ordered by President Grant to have these people relocated or to have the land seized, which the people took as an invasion because the land was already promised to the Sioux. So they were defending the land. President Grant sends out Senator Dawes, like I said, who was instrumental in negotiating treaties with all the Native people. He sends him out to renegotiate a treaty with Chief Red Cloud, and who they basically bully into signing this, telling them that if you do not sign these new revisions to the treaties, then your people will die with no support from the U.S. government. So, to save his people, he touches pen. So he touches the pen to the paper, and that's that. So let's see, where do I want to go? Oh, Sitting Bull. Chief Sitting Bull is still living in traditional ways, but he's being he sent an emissary by the government, General Miles, to negotiate his surrender and relocation to the reservation. Uh, negotiations don't go well. Both Sitting Bull and Miles refuse to give any way, and both men prepare for battle. After Sitting Bull is soundly defeated because he was outgunned, um, not just outgunned, they had cannons as well. So, yeah, outgunned and outcannoned. He fled to Canada, where he was actually welcomed by the Canadian government and Queen Victoria, seeing she saw this as the Americans' fault, the U.S. government's fault. So they gave them supplies and food to start out, and gave them stipulations. They could not use Canadian land to launch attacks against U.S. They couldn't interfere with hunting of other tribes around, and they could not. Oh my gosh, what was the last thing? Ooh, and they couldn't interfere. Or attack local tribes as well. So, stay peaceful, stay within your own, and you're more than welcome here. Sounds good. Let's see. Sorry. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to make this too long. So when I I want to talk about this, throughout all this time, negotiations happen. Like I said, the first one went the government's way. A little later, they come back with another offer, different revisions to some more treaties. This time, they are offering allotments to native men, 160 acres, and whenever all are given out, the extra land, the excess land from the allotments that were not given out are going to be offered to white settlers for 50 cents an acre. This didn't set well with the Sioux, so they actually turned their backs on the U.S. government and walked away from the negotiations. So that did not go over very well. Charles Eastman meets Elaine Goodell when he is in school, getting ready to graduate from Dartmouth. The two hit it off. They start writing letters to each other, corresponding. Sorry. Charles eventually helps Senator Dawes with some of the redistricting of the reservation and also the provisions in those treaties. After this one with Dawes and Red Cloud, where the Sioux walk away, all the stories start to converge onto the reservation. Elaine shows up where she's, like I said, she's going to be teaching and inspecting schools and helping the natives assimilate to the Western white culture. Sitting Bull's people in Canada did not fare well against the harsh winters, and also being so far away from things that they knew, that his refusal to let anyone go home led to almost revolt within the tribe, within the band. So he eventually let them come home. It happened in a couple of large waves of people leaving, and eventually Sitting Bull himself coming back to the reservation. like I said, all the stories are starting to converge. Elaine is there. Red Cloud is there. Um, Sitting Bull has come to the reservation. Um, and Elaine, like I said, is corresponding with Charles, and she's writing him, telling him of everything that she sees um, on the reservation. Uh, she writes him about epidemics that are taking hold: whooping cough, influenza, the measles. Writes to him about drought, which leads to underweight cattle, which leads to not enough meat. Um, so, also how, um, uh, yeah, sorry, how bleak it is there, and how people, the sadness in their eyes, and how she can tell. She sees a broken people who are living a life that they never wanted. Um, Finally, Charles comes to the reservation. He arrives to be the doctor, and he quickly sees what Elaine was talking about. All the all the plight and yeah, all the bad fortune that has become that has come upon the people. A lot of the men have turned to um, alcohol, and it's uh, it's sad that they were driven to alcohol, drinking cod liver oil just to be able to get the spirits, the alcohol out of that medicine, just to get drunk. So just things like that. Um, Eventually, Senator Dawes comes out for one more negotiation, this final negotiation after they were turned away. And this one, they are offering the same allotment, 160 acres. Um, and this time they are paying $1.25 $1.25 per acre. Um, Tells them that if they refuse, the government could and would take away all the land and pretty much divvy it up however they wanted. White settlers give it away, whatever they wanted to do with it, just pretty much take it as they wanted. Um, he actually doesn't say that to the people. He tells that to Charles after his little speech that he gives. Eventually, the negotiations start, but before they, or the day of the negotiations, Chief Red Cloud actually goes into and no, wait, sorry, not Red Cloud. My bad. Chief Sitting Bull goes into the negotiations and tells them basically, we're not going to live like this. And he also inspires them to not sign. Chief Red Cloud tells his people also that had Sitting Bull been there the first time that they signed the treaties, he would not have signed them. Had he been there and spoken the way that he spoke that day, he would have turned away from the U.S. government and not signed those treaties. Who knows what would have happened to the Lakota Sioux people then, back then, if they had not and held strong and stayed with their ways. And probably had a lot more war, a lot more death, but Red Cloud saw it as a way to achieve peace between the people and the government. So eventually, throughout this, a shaman has appeared and told the people he had a vision of life without the white man. So people started to come to hear him speak, and they've come to pray and dance. believe this is called a ghost dance. The ghost dance. Um, the shaman was Walvoka, and I didn't mention him earlier, but he was played by Wes Studi. He tells of his vision of life without the white man, and people start to congregate and dance, and this worries the U.S. government because they see this as people coming together as an uprising with with their with their prayers and singing and dancing for the death of all white men, but they just want to live a life without white men. Word gets back to the agents of all this, and in fear of an uprising, they call in the U.S. Army. Also, agents are sent, or Agent McLaughlin sends out the U.S. military or a local policeman to arrest Sitting Bull because the Sitting Bull is allowing these ghost dances to continue. They are fearing that he is too much of an influence on the people. So they go and send to arrest him. And during this arrest, he's killed, shot, murdered. And we see that men are chasing, the military are chasing down men, women, and children. They take them to Wounded Knee, and they set up camp there. Eventually, the government comes in to disarm them because they have guns, rifles, guns to protect themselves. The military sent in to disarm them. They try to disarm a deaf man, and he doesn't understand why they're trying to take his gun, and he unfortunately shoots one of the officers and kills him, and this starts a barrage of gunfire by both sides, Sioux and the U.S. military. Eventually, when all is said and done, nearly 300 Lakota Sioux men, women, and children were killed in the massacre at Wounded Knee. This is what it accumulated from all the years of negotiations and treatment and everything of the Sioux people. Along with all the 300 that were killed, along with them, there were a couple dozen U.S. military wounded and killed in this incident. In the aftermath of this incident that this story is about, this film is about, in the aftermath, within decades of all these passings of the Dawes Act and other things, nearly 90 million acres of native lands had been stripped away, had been taken and sold to white settlers. In the 1980s, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the 1876 seizure of the Black Hills violated treaty signed with the Sioux. So the initial battle at Little Bighorn violated the treaties. But the court refused to restore land to the Sioux. Instead, they ordered compensation be paid. The tribe has never taken any of the money. Instead, they are wanting their land back. They're wanting, so they haven't claimed this. So that's where the movie wraps up. My thoughts on this, I had so many emotions with this movie. This movie sent me in so many different ways. It broke my heart. It made me angry. Obviously, kind of pissed me off, to tell you the truth. But you know, when you learn about history and the awful things that people can do to each other, and that we have done to each other, yeah, it can kind of piss you off. and not just I'm not, like I said, I'm not even Sioux, but I'm actually Creek, Seminole, Yuchi, and Choctaw. Um, but all of these stories are kind of universal within our people. The U.S. government forcibly moving us, whether it be up north in the Dakotas or my people were down south and moved here to Oklahoma. Um, they're all universal tales between us, but I think it hit a little harder because I am native. But I also wanted to talk about a couple scenes in here that kind of hit with me. There's a scene between Charles Adam Beach, or actually um, the younger version, Chavez Ezene. Uh, in school, they were made to give a Christian name. They chose their own, or they could be given one by teacher, government, or whatever. So Charles hadn't chosen one yet, and the teacher asked a question. Charles raised his hand, or I'm going to call him Charles. Charles raised his hand, and she asked him if he had chosen a name yet, and they told her no. She asked him if he wanted her to choose one for him. He said no. Um, she wouldn't take his answer because he hadn't chosen a Christian name. Then she even tried to force him to pick one by telling the rest of the class, if anyone can name the last 4 U.S. presidents correctly, I will dismiss class early. Class knew he knew. She knew he knew. She was trying to force his hand to pick a Christian name. That I saw that scene and it popped something in my head when Grandpa told me about stories of Native children whenever they spoke the native tongue, the native language in school, they were actually beaten, which kind of surprised me when I was little. But as I got older and I, learned things, especially these past few years, about things are actually outside of these Christian missionary churches. There are mass graves being discovered of Native children at these, and it's really disturbing what you see portrayed and what I was told, and then reality of actually reality. Um, it's disturbing. It's heartbreaking actually, and it angers me. Once again, children. It's just children. They're children. Um, so that kind of touched with me right there. Another one was a scene between Senator Dawes and Charles as he was older, and Senator Dawes told him. Charles tells Senator Dawes, because he's been there he's been living amongst the people again for a while, and he sees everything that's been going on. He tells him that he is one of them, and Senator Dawes tells him, "You're no more Sioux than I am." That kind of bugged me, because just because you take me out of my culture and out of my home, and yes, you give me an education and you give me things um, for the betterment. You think of myself. Um, doesn't mean that I'm not who I am. Doesn't mean that I am not who I was born. That does just kind of rub me the wrong way. Just because you took me out of the Sioux world and put me into the white world doesn't mean that I'm not a Sioux. It's just, yeah, that kind of bugged me. Anyways, just a couple things. But overall, I thought this movie was fantastic. The acting was amazing. The cinematography was great. Settings, costumes, everything about this, I thoroughly enjoyed. Um, but yeah, those are my thoughts on it. So, guys, if you like this movie, if you didn't like this movie, let me know. Comment down below. Also, if you like this video, hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content. Thanks for joining me, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.